When it comes to a hobby like this, a lot of times you really do have to take chances, right? You have to roll the dice sometimes, especially when you're talking about fragrances that you maybe can't get samples of online, or you can't walk into a store and try it, and you're only left with blind buying. You just kind of have to take a gamble, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose big time. For me, my success rate with blind buying has been very high, mostly because I've been doing it for a while now and I know what I'm into, and so it's pretty easy for me to look at something and get a general idea of if I'm going to like it or not. These 10 fragrances here are ones that I took a gamble on, okay? And they ended up paying off big time. These are some great discoveries that going into it, I was a little bit unsure about. I didn't think that maybe some of these were going to be all that good. I didn't think that maybe some of these would live up to the hype or whatever it may be, but after I got them in and I tried it, I was pleasantly surprised. So I will provide links to these down below to discounters. I bought all of these through discounters, and I'm always going to be referencing prices and videos based off of discount prices on the gray market. So make sure you use those links down below for the best prices, and make sure if you're really into saving money and you also want to win some money at the same time, get subscribed to the channel and check out my community tab. Every month, I'm doing $500 giveaways, and on top of that, every day, I'm posting some amazing deals on just whatever you can think of. Rare stuff, discontinued stuff, hard to find stuff, and everything else in between. If you want to save a lot of money, that's the place to be. It pays to be subscribed. Let's get into it. First up, HARAMAIN's DETOURNOIR. So what was about this one that I wasn't really sure of? Well, I'm not sure exactly what it was. Honestly, I think part of it was the bottle. Yeah, don't judge a book by its cover. But when it comes to the fragrance hobby, especially when you're first starting out, it's very easy to be influenced by bottle presentation. I know I was huge about that, and I would literally only buy things based off of if I liked the bottle. Seriously, that's no joke. When I was first starting out, the look of the bottle influenced my purchases heavily. I got over that after some time, which is a good thing, but still every now and then I'll look at a bottle like this and I'll be like, I don't really know. I also knew that this one was a clone of Leighton, kind of going into it as supposedly what it was supposed to be. I didn't think it was going to be that good. Lo and behold, this is one of the best Leighton clones I've ever smelled, hands down, and this is usually about $30 or less. This is one of the best discoveries I've made, and it paid off in a huge way. I recommend that everyone has this stuff. Next up, a little bit of a cheapie, usually $29 for 100 ml online, and the only currently still easy one to get. It's Roberto Cavalli UOMO, the original. So it has honey, violet leaf, and tonka bean in here. Very unique, not your typical men's designer release, and that's what I like about it. You know, this is something different, and it's not your mainstream type of thing that would end up in all of your retailers that everyone's going to be wearing. So with that, you do get a product that's going to be a little bit more unique. It's going to set you apart from the crowd, and it gives you a little bit more of an interesting wearing experience because you don't smell this type of thing every day and very often. I'm not sure what it was about this one either. I don't know. I was just going into it thinking, okay, it's low priced. They're trying to be unique with it. Sometimes that's a recipe for disaster, believe it or not. People want cheapies to be different and unique, but sometimes cheapies are better off being more generic because they'll actually be decent, right? When brands try too hard and they don't have a lot of budget, things can kind of go south pretty quick. But this one actually is very, very great, and I do recommend just about everyone to try this out if you know what you're into and you want a nice little affordable pickup for the cool weather. This one here also shocked me in a big way, Pure Excess Night by PACO Rabanne. So I'm a big fan of the original. At first I wasn't too awfully crazy about it though, but then Pure Excess Night came out and of course I had to get it, had to check it out for the channel. And immediately I fell in love with it. I'm like, this is actually really, really good. It's got caramel, myrrh, ginger, and ginseng. Very spicy opening, but that does dissipate later on in the scent, and it really smooths out and sweetens up, and you get this caramely sweetness, which smells amazing, and actually kind of goes in a little bit of a gourmand direction. And because at the time the original wasn't my cup of tea necessarily, I was kind of going into this thinking, yeah, who knows how this is going to be, but it blew me away and exceeded my expectations very much. So if you, again, want something unique and a little bit of a change of pace for the cool weather, I can't recommend this one enough. It's a PACO Rabanne. People are going to generally hate on a lot of the scents that come from them, but this is actually one that you should really check out. Same with this right here, Bulgari Man Wood Neroli. Going into it, personally, I thought it was just going to be a very basic woody neroli citrus scent is really what I was thinking. I don't know why. I was just like, yeah, I'll pick it up, and I put it off for a long time also. But when I got this one in, expectations were exceeded by a huge amount. I mean, this stuff is impressive. Really the definition of a nice, high quality, well done, and well thought out citrus floral scent for men. And it's not really all that floral either, even though it's using neroli heavily here. It's balanced out with the woods and some of the other sweet citrus to make it very wearable for most guys out there. And I've kind of said this before, but it reminds me a little bit of something like Xerjoff Kobe. I don't think it's a clone of that one, but in the same ballpark. The way the sweet citrus comes along and some of the light florals in here and the white musk and the light woods, it just really kind of comes along that way, and it smells amazing. Personally, I think this smells a lot more expensive than what it goes for on discounters as well, which is also a plus. So I picked this next one up this year, and it might be one of my favorite purchases of the year. I don't know, maybe not even necessarily talking or counting new releases. You know, there's been some great new releases, but just in terms of things that have been out that I've just now picked up, probably one of my favorites. Iris Empire by Carolina Herrera. So, you know, I love my iris scents. There's no hiding that. But this one here is beautiful because it's got iris. It has a little bit of a chocolatey smell, so it kind of fits into the Dior Homme Intense, Valentino UOMO Intense category. But it also has leather. And the leather in here reminds me a little bit of another Carolina Herrera fragrance, which is discontinued, and that's CH Men Privé. So it's like they took kind of a similar leather accord that was used heavily in that one, threw in some iris, some sweetness, and you get this great pressurized atomizer there. Oh, it's delicious. So captivating, so sexy. I mean, this stuff here is very impressive. Quality is amazing. The depth and the complexity is very strong. And this is an amazing pickup. Now, these are usually going to be a little bit more expensive, even on discounters, but I think if you've got some money laying around, you want to put it to good use, you want to invest in a product that's going to be a little bit more expensive, a little bit more premium, don't underestimate some of these more exclusive Carolina Herrera's. Magnetic cap, great atomizer, nice presentation, and the scents of these are amazing. Like, I'm 4 for 4 right now. I think maybe even 5. All of the ones I picked up so far have been amazing and well worth the price. So roll into a cheapie up next. We have Pepe Jeans Cocktail Edition. I believe this could be a limited edition type of deal, that sort of thing, although I could be wrong. It's one of those things where it goes in stock and it sells out and then it's sold out for a while. Like, just to give you an idea, within the past couple months, this finally came back in stock, but it went out of stock not long after I did my top 10 summer fragrances video in like the beginning of June. It sold out after that. It didn't show up until just a couple months ago. So it was sold out for a while, but I'm glad it's back. It's got yuzu, grapefruit, some other citrus in here. An impressive citrus fragrance for the price that also maintains a unique kind of backbone to it, which I do appreciate, given that a lot of fragrances in this category will smell the same. This one stands out and was a complete blind buy for me. Didn't know a whole lot about it going into it. Wasn't really expecting the best, but it really paid off. I've had this one in my collection for a good while now. Started off with a sample of CARNER Barcelona, Elborn. Just had a tiny little like 3 ml sample. And I remember I worshipped that little sample. This was back a long time ago when I was more just getting into niche, very beginner to collecting still. I had no money, right? And so buying a bottle of this at that time was not really something that I planned on doing, even though you can get these on discounters actually sometimes for designer price. I just didn't have it at that time. And so that sample I would just pick up and smell all the time. I pretty much wore through it, had a tiny little bit left, but I could still smell it. One of the best boozy vanilla fragrances I've ever smelled. It's got vanilla, it's got Peru balsam in here, and it smells so delicious. I've got actually 2 or 3 bottles of this one just because I don't want to take any chances of ever running out of this one or reformulations or whatever. It's got a nice dark color to it and smells beautiful. One of my favorite vanillas on the niche side. If you're feeling like you want something a little bit more mature, a little bit more traditional, this one always works for me. Bottega Veneta Pour Homme Extreme. It's an eau de toilette. They also have the original, which is also an eau de toilette, and that one's great. And this is all about the pine, tree, note, the other woods going on in here, and some aromatics. Like I said, it's more traditional, very masculine, upscale, classy. It's like something you would wear while wearing a sweater in the fall, springtime, somewhere around there. Just well-dressed, nice sweater on, going to a business meeting, going out, doing something like that. But it also reminds me of an outdoorsman. So if you're a guy who likes to spend time in the outdoors, or chopping firewood, getting ready to heat your home with wood for the winter, or just anything like that, outdoorsy stuff, wearing a flannel, this type of thing is kind of what that reminds me of, and it's a nice change of pace. Going into this, I wasn't really sure if it was going to resonate with me, but this one actually hits very close to home about what I like to do. I love being in the outdoors, and this reminds me of that, so this paid off big time. Running down to the end, second to last, we have L'Instant de Guerlain Eau de Parfum by Guerlain. There's also an Eau de Toilette. Get the Eau de Parfum, that's my opinion. It's got cacao and patchouli, uses both of those notes very heavily. Some other minor woods in here, like nice cedar wood accord and that sort of thing. But it's kind of sweet, does have a little bit of a chocolatey smell. And I do believe that's kind of going to be coming from the variation of patchouli that they use, along with, of course, the kind of dusty, powdery cacao note. So it's kind of like a combination of those. It's a dusty, chocolatey smell with a little bit of a syrupy, chocolatey smell, kind of interesting, and then a heavy dose of woods underneath to support it and give it more of a masculine smell. Similar to the Bottega Veneta, a little bit more of a classic feel, a little bit more traditional. This isn't really something that most teenagers are going to like the smell of, but I do think it's just a very, very impressive DNA. I really love how this smells, and again, going into it, honestly, wasn't really sure what to think. You know, before I bought it, that was, I'm like, I don't know, is this going to be something I like? Got it in, smelled it, and immediately it clicked in my head, and I'm like, I understand the hype behind this one. Definitely one worth having around, and not a whole lot of money either. And we'll finish this one off with Boss the Scent Private Accord. Love the bottles on these. That is one thing I will say. Very classy presentation and a nice step up from the Hugo Boss bottle line, which those look great as well. Pretty simplistic, stripped back and minimal, but these just look a notch better. Who cares about the bottles though, right? Well, actually I do, and I did even more when I was starting out, like I told you, but the important thing here is the scent. And yeah, literally the scent, right? And it smells fantastic. If you want a unique designer scent, check this one out. This should be one of the first places you're going, if that is you want a unique one for the fall and winter time, because it's all about the maninka fruit in here. You actually do get like a little bit of a leathery accord, and almost a little bit of a coffee smell as well. Some other sweet notes, like maybe a tonka bean or something like that. But it's really all about that fruitiness that is not something you smell everywhere. In fact, most fragrances are not using this note, and this brand and this line in particular has really pushed it hard. And I mean, when you smell this, you know exactly what it is. It stands out. There's nothing else out there like it, except maybe a couple of the other flankers, right? But it really is a unique scent that I'm surprised more brands aren't trying to replicate in some way or another, because like I said, this is a standout fragrance. I have a lot of them, and nothing comes close to how this one smells. Going into it, I wasn't really sure, but this has paid off heavily, and it's actually one of my favorites for the cool weather. Okay guys, that's gonna do it for me. 10 fragrance discoveries that paid off big time. I mean, these are great, each in their own way. Some unique stuff in here, some great stuff that you can try out if you're wanting to change it up. Links will be down below. Deals will be on the community tab. Get subscribed. Enter to win the giveaways when they do pop up. We're trying to hit 200,000 hopefully by sometime in the beginning of 2023. So if you guys can just hop along for the ride, if you like the videos, if you just want to support me, you can subscribe, and I appreciate your support heavily. We couldn't do this without you. So thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.